Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today, we are going to completely rewrite what you thought you knew about ancient history. We're diving deep into the monumental history, the sheer engineering brilliance, and the enduring legacy of Ethiopia's ancient kingdoms. Trust me, it is an absolutely incredible story of innovation and power that spans thousands of years. So let's kick things off by challenging our usual mental map of ancient civilizations. You know, when most of us think of our minds immediately jump to Egypt, Rome, or Greece, right? But we really need to shift our focus deep into the Horn of Africa. Long before modern nations even existed, the highly fertile highlands of present Ethiopia supported these incredibly thriving communities. And because of its highly strategic location, literally connecting Africa, Arabia, and the Mediterranean world, merchants were just constantly traveling across deserts and seas, carrying these super valuable goods. Over time, those connections didn't just create wealthy trading posts. They created powerful, highly influential kingdoms that would actually shape the course of African history for millennia. Just to wrap our heads around the sheer scale of this African legacy, here is the timeline we're exploring today. We're starting with the mysterious beginnings of the Kingdom of DMT around the 8th century BC, moving on to the staggering global dominance of the Aksum Empire in the 1st century AD. Then we'll witness the architectural wonders of the Zagwe dynasty in the 12th century. And finally, explore the resilient Solomonic dynasty that took power in 1270 and defended this legacy right into the modern era. All right, Section 1. The foundation, looking at the Kingdom of DMT. We start our journey way back in the 8th century BC, in the lands of northern Ethiopia and Eritrea. Now, while a lot about DMT actually remains pretty mysterious to historians today, the archaeological evidence tells a fascinating story of early innovation. Basically, they weren't just surviving out there. They were thriving. They practiced advanced farming. In the super fertile Ethiopian highlands, they built these massively impressive stone structures, and they developed a complex society that actively traded with neighboring regions. After several centuries, DMT did gradually decline. But here's the crucial takeaway. Its influence never really died out. It laid a permanent foundation for the cultures that immediately followed. Moving into Section 2, the Golden Age, featuring the mighty Aksum Empire. Fast forward to the 1st century AD, following the decline of those earlier kingdoms, and we see the rise of an absolute powerhouse. It quickly became one of the greatest civilizations in all of African history. To really understand Aksum's power, you have to look at its wealth. Because they were sitting right in a prime location near the Red Sea, they became the essential link between Africa, Arabia, India, and the Roman world. Merchants from all over the known converged world here to exchange really high luxury good stuff like gold, ivory, and spices. Wealth was literally flowing into the kingdom, making Aksum one of the world's most powerful states at its peak. Now, this next detail absolutely blew my mind. Aksum actually minted its own coins. And you have to remember, in the ancient world, minting your own currency wasn't just a minor convenience. No way, it was a tremendous flex of sheer economic power. It proved Aksum was a global heavyweight, a fully independent economic engine, standing shoulder to shoulder with massive empires like Rome. And they definitely didn't just keep that wealth sitting in their pockets. They projected it upward. The rulers of Aksum erected these massive, towering stone obelisks to honor their leaders and display their cutting-edge engineering skills to anyone who visited. And guess what? Thousands of years later, these breathtaking stone monuments are still standing. It's an incredible testament to their engineering genius. All right, let's look at Section 3. A transformation of faith. So moving on to the 4th century, we hit this massive cultural pivot. King Asina completely transformed the kingdom by converting to Christianity and actually making it the official religion of Aksum. And this wasn't just some quiet, personal conversion behind closed doors. Churches were practically built overnight throughout the entire kingdom. Christian symbols immediately replaced older imagery on their newly minted coins and monuments. This monumental shift made Aksum one of the very earliest Christian kingdoms in recorded history, establishing a faith that became deeply, inextricably tied to the Ethiopian identity. Which brings us to Section 4. Faith carved in stone, focusing on the Zagwe dynasty. As centuries passed, and Aksum eventually began to decline, a new power emerged in the 12th century, the Zagwe dynasty, and they brought with them a literally earth-shattering approach to architecture. Just think about the mind-bending reverse engineering they used to build the famous rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. Step 1. Find a massive expanse of solid rock. Step 2. Instead of building walls upward like normally, dig straight downward into the earth. Step 3. Carve an entire highly complex, multi-story church directly out of the solid bedrock. They literally didn't build these structures. They freed them from the ground. Now these weren't just architectural showpieces. To flex their engineering muscles, they became deeply revered spiritual centers. The sheer awe-inspiring nature of these bedrock churches attracted pilgrims from all across the Christian world. Even today, centuries later, Lalibela remains one of Ethiopia's most treasured historical sites. Next up is Section 5: Defenders of Independence, exploring the Solomonic rulers. So by the year 1270-80, the narrative shifts from architectural expansion to fierce preservation. To understand how the newly empowered Solomonic maintained their hold, you really just have to look at their name. These rulers claimed a direct, unbroken descent all the way back to King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. By claiming this legendary ancient lineage, these emperors powerfully legitimized their authority in the eyes of their people. Talk about a brilliant political and cultural move, right? It totally strengthened the kingdom's internal unity when they needed it the most. And man, did they use that unity to remarkable effect. The Solomonic emperors expanded Ethiopian influence across the region. They successfully managed internal conflicts, and most importantly, they fiercely defended their lands against foreign invasions. During a period in history when so many other African regions were facing intense outside pressures and, unfortunately, falling to foreign rule, the Solomonic dynasty somehow preserved Ethiopia's independence. Their incredible resilience allowed their reign to continue into the modern era. Finally, Section 6. An unbroken African legacy. So what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, this isn't just dead history. From the foundational farming communities of DMT to the power-projecting obelisks of Aksum and those awe-inspiring sunken churches of Lalibela, these were epicenters of global innovation. Their monuments still stand today. Their centuries-old traditions are still actively practiced right now. The very culture, religion, and identity of modern Ethiopia is directly shaped by this incredible past. These civilizations prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Africa was home to some of humanity's most historical achievements. Which kind of leaves us with one final pretty profound thought. When we realize that all of this brilliance, engineering, and wealth was thriving in the Horn of Africa for thousands of years, often while our history books were only telling us to look at Greece, it leaves us with one vital question to ponder. How much of human history are we still missing? Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. And remember to keep questioning what you think you know about the ancient world.